Good morning. This is Jacob Milliken with 9M Investments, and I am here to show you Friday investment flows. So every Friday, I cover the flows for the ETF markets and just kind of what investors are doing and thinking over the last week. So over the last week, risk on. S&P 500, SPY, $6 billion of inflows. Top 12 over the last week are mostly equity styled funds, although there are a couple of short-term bond funds that are in here. That's where I thought investors would be heading this week, but they were like, nope, we are risk on. QQQ, and always a good fund to watch as far as how investors are feeling. Brought in $2 billion this week. Again, that's kind of a risk on attitude when QQQ is taking in funds. Not to be outdone, TQQQ, which is the triple leveraged version of the QQQ, also took in 532 million, which is a huge number for a leveraged fund. And then on the downside of the QQQ, the 3 times leverage to the downside actually had huge outflows. I can imagine if people were positive on the upside for QQQ, obviously it kind of makes sense that the ultra short would be on the downside this week. But to see all three of these in one week is kind of an interesting note. On the downside, a lot of Vanguard funds. I think this is probably just kind of a 1 week deal. Typically, you don't see because these are all the same types of funds that you see on the positive. So maybe just switching out fund names this week for a lot of people. Kind of jump into the S&P. Even though it was up on the week, as you can see over the last month, the outflows are actually $4.6 billion. So, even though we had that great month in August, obviously that we haven't followed up, and investors have kind of followed that up with taking their money off the table. Jumping into Q, this is one that, again, investors seem to always use when it's a risk on type of appetite. As you can see over the last year, this fund hasn't done fantastic. It's down almost 25%. Makes sense. The chip sector has been beat up. Rising interest rates has really beat up that sector. And then from the TQ and the SQ, again, TQ, if you're down, now you're down triple. Down 68% over the last year. And then if you're in the SQ, you're actually up 40.5%. So, if you thought that was the place to be, you saw the rising rates coming, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna switch out my Qs for my SQs. That worked out for you. So just kind of wanted to jump into that and kind of also give you an idea of who owns this. Citigroup is the biggest holder of SQ. You go to TQ, Credit Suisse. These are typically you're going to be individual advisors. You're not going to see a bunch of the big advisor names kind of jump into this, but kind of gives you an idea of who's holding this and who's deciding this is a good idea. Obviously, this year hasn't been the best idea. So anyway, so that's Friday flows on a Friday. I hope this was insightful, and I'll see you next week. Have a great day.